Yo, what it do, brothers? You're not tuned in all that rah-rah with your Hebrew brother Milo Judah. So, brothers, we have an issue. And it's an issue that, a lot of people have addressed, but I think we need to address it again. And the issue is the so-called black man worshiping the so-called black woman. And any astute man understands where it comes from, right? I mean, the so-called black man not being in the home with anything to teach his son. Well, honestly, to teach his woman, and she can relay that to his son. But either way, the root of knowledge in the home should come from the so-called black man. But without him being in the home, the so-called black boy grows up to be a so-called black simp. And therefore, when they are male adults, because it's difficult to call them men, when they are male adults, they tend to lean on their emotion rather than their logic. They like to argue, they are quick-tempered, and they listen to respond rather than listening to understand, like a woman. And this type of behavior from the so-called black male is extremely visible at times like this, like election time, right? Because right now we have the vice president, Kamala Harris, running against former president Donald Trump, right? And what you will see is a lot of so-called black simps, the ones who are vying for Kamala Harris, it doesn't have anything to do with her policies or anything to do with, her track record or what she's known to do. It's more so because they dislike Donald Trump. They want to get Donald Trump out of the office, which he hasn't been in the office for the past 3.5 going on 4 years. And their main talking point, for the most part, is because she's a woman of color, right? I mean, you have people like Ricky Smiley saying that she's a part of the Divine Nine, and it'll be extremely symbolic if she's voted into office, right? Because I believe that would be on the day, that would be on MLK Day. I forgot exactly what he said. It was stupid. But he also said that the individual who would swear her in, she would be a part of the Divine Nine as well, and she's also a so-called black woman. I mean, like the things that so-called black males are saying in regards to voting for her. You have the rapper Plies coming out saying, don't question a black woman. I mean, the female worship is insane, but this video in particular is going to be about the comments that Plies made anyway, because it all goes back to being a worshiper of the woman. I mean, these people are 40, 50, and 60 years old. You also have individuals like Steve Harvey, simping for Kamala Harris. A lot of this stuff is pretty annoying, right? And I'm not a supporter of Donald Trump. I'm also not a supporter of Kamala Harris. But I tell you what, if someone put a gun to my head and said, vote, I will vote for Donald Trump. I mean, just as far as you have quote unquote Christians saying that they're voting for Kamala Harris, but the book that they read is against what she stands for, right? So, I mean, it's just wild. But anyway, we're going to get into the comments that Plies made, and we're going to do some real and rare analysis. So let's get it.
Motherfuckers all blowing me up, ask me, so what you think about Kamala picking 10 walls for her VP, her running mate? I say shit.
First and foremost, with all due respect to Plies, this nigga capping. Man, nobody's hitting Plies up, asking him his opinion on Kamala Harris's running mate, Tim Walz. They're just not. Don't nobody care about what he think. On top of that, the way he starts the video off, giggling, looking around, rubbing his hands. Man, you just came on here to be funny. Be for real.
For a week, America, y'all said y'all wanted white. She needed white, a white man to balance the ticket. It don't get no more motherfucking white. The motherfucking 10 wall, not motherfucking that. That's white as it motherfucking get. Listen, any more motherfucking whiter than this, he'll motherfucking disappear. 10 wall. And I'm gonna tell you how I knew he was the right motherfucking pick.
Well, first off, I say this. When he said, if we get any wider than 10 walls, then they'll disappear. That was kind of funny. But on the flip side, I counted. He done said motherfucker 8 times in this video already. And I done paused it and talked. So that hasn't been his video playing straight. He been talking for about 10 seconds. And he done said motherfucker 8 times. So my point is, how can I take an individual serious who can't talk for more than 10 seconds without saying motherfucker so many times? And Plies is an individual who, if you brothers remember him, you know, when he was hot, when he was rapping, he was known for going to interviews and being able to articulate himself, right? But now as he's gotten older and he's in his car making his own videos, trying to be funny, he can't form a sentence without cussing, right? And I mean, if that's how he talks, that's how he talks. That's his prerogative. But my point is, why would I take someone serious who can't actually have a decent conversation and properly articulate themselves without cussing so many times? I mean, I'm not one to trip or, be the grammar police. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to take you serious if you just cussing every 3 or 4 words, right? I mean, I understand people cuss. I cuss. It is what it is. But even still, come on, man.
Cause when they said they wanted motherfucking white, I say Tim so motherfucking white, his eyebrow motherfucking white. Tim, I like motherfucking Tim. I say Tim so motherfucking white, his motherfucking eyebrow white right here. That's how I knew it was motherfucking right pick. When I went and looked, I said I like that motherfucking Tim. Motherfucking Tim eyebrows, the eyeball, every motherfucking thing white on Tim. I said, this is the goddamn pick. I knew this. I ain't want to jump on here and jump the gun, but I knew right motherfucking then. I said Tim Walls is the motherfucking pick. When I seen the motherfucking eyebrow and knew he was from motherfucking Minnesota, I said, yeah, this motherfucking Tim. I like motherfucking Tim, boy. Tim and Tim good with that motherfucking vocabulary too.
Yeah. So, I mean, the man just spent a good 20, 25, maybe 30 seconds saying he knew that Tim Walls was the right pick because Tim's so motherfucking white that his eyebrows motherfucking white. I mean, it's like, come on, man. Come on, man. Nothing of substance. And that's the reason Malcolm X stated that celebrities and entertainers, specifically in the so-called black community, they're not meant to be leaders, right? Even in other communities, or for your brothers who are into the scriptures, other nations, they are not the leaders of that community. So it's extremely wild to see how the so-called black man is so gullible a lot of the times. The liberal so-called black man, because there are brothers, a ton of brothers, who are able to see what's going on in this society, and they are able to decipher for themselves, the things that are going on and how they shouldn't be a part of it. But at the end of the day, these types of videos are extremely sad because, even though I stated that ain't nobody checking for no damn Plies, there are people who agree with what he says. Tim Walls is the correct pick. And then he also stated that Tim Walls is great with his vocabulary. No, the hell he is not. No, the hell he is not. All the Democrats do is talk about, Donald Trump. When you ask Kamala Harris a question, she will not answer that damn question. If you ask Kamala Harris, is the economy better right now than it was when former President Donald Trump was in office, what she would do is talk about how she came from a middle class the first thing she would do is say, well, I was raised in a middle class home, and my mom worked extremely hard. I mean, it's wild to actually sit down and listen to her talk, because for a man of understanding, it's annoying as hell. Because, I mean, it's like, I'm asking you a question. Why are you not answering my question? So, and since Plies keeps saying that he understands that Tim Walz is the correct pick, all he had to do is take a look at him and he's good with his vocabulary. Someone should ask Plies if he's okay with tampons in little boys' bathrooms and teenage boys' bathrooms. Right? Because, I mean, that's what Tim Walz allows in Minnesota. Right? And, I mean, he said he's from Minnesota. Does Plies not understand how liberal the state of Minnesota is? Does Plies not understand how liberal people are in Minnesota? And, at the end of the day, if you ask Donald Trump a question, he will answer your question. Now, he will throw his jabs in there about Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, but at the end of the day, he'll answer your question. The thing is, people just don't like the way Donald Trump answers questions. I mean, it is what it is. He's just straightforward. And honestly, what Donald Trump represents is a standard of masculinity, right? And this society dislikes masculinity. I mean, to the point where there have been 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump's life. I mean, the shit is crazy. Like, y'all hate the man being a man so damn bad. And him telling you exactly what's on his mind, and him answering your questions, to the point where he's talking about auditing the federal government, right? As far as, bringing the economy back to where he had it. I mean, Donald Trump has real plans. It's no taxes on tips, which Kamala Harris did steal from her. You might as well call her as Kamala Trump, because she's just stealing the man's policy as he goes. So, I mean, it's pretty crazy. But even back to stating that this society dislikes masculinity, that even goes back into a lot of so-called black men who are raised by their mothers and why they worship the so-called black woman so much. I mean, have you ever had a conversation with these brothers? They will defend the woman to no end. And I mean, don't get it twisted, dog. The woman is beautiful. The woman is beautiful. The woman is lovely. When the woman is in her right mind and under a man. Right? But I mean, you see these single women out here, they love to argue with men. They love to question men, try to correct men, tell men, what they should and shouldn't do. And I mean, it's just like, okay, well, why aren't you in a relationship with a man? Why isn't your man doing exactly what you want him to do? Oh, maybe because that's not what a man is. Right? But at the end of the day, even when women get with those type of men who are subservient to the woman, they'll end up leaving that type of man, because at the end of the day, a woman craves masculinity. Right? But this society is pushing to hate masculinity so much that everyone is mentally confused, man. Because women are trying to tell men what to do. Men are trying to, bend their knee to the woman and appease the woman. Now, that creates a dynamic of basically the man being submissive to the woman. And that is not supposed to happen. Even to the point where women try to create small terms like, if you really love me, you'll submit to some of my terms. And it's just like, come on, man. They try to find ways to make it even. But the point is, a lot of you brothers, it's your fault. It's your fault, man. And I say that because a lot of brothers, they don't vet the woman. They lay down with the wrong woman. They create a child with the wrong woman. Now this child is grown up with the wrong woman, thinking like a woman, resolving issues like a woman, hands first, argumentative, not listening to, the other side. And now everything becomes an issue, to the point where they want a woman to run the country just because she's a woman of color, not even checking for her policies, I mean, if you listen to Plies, man, he said he knew that Tim Walz was the one because he was a white man. He was so white that his eyebrows was white, right? Because those type of men, they love to act like they hate the white man and they are going to question the white man and they are so distrustful of the white man. But these are literally the type of brothers who don't question the white man at all. They don't question the so-called white man's motives. They don't question anything that they have going on, right? They just go by the appearance. Okay, we have a so-called black woman who looks like she's going to be in control of this country, because any man or any individual who understands how America is ran, they know that the president isn't the actual leader of the country. The president just presides over the country. And that's another reason why they dislike Donald Trump, because Donald Trump disagrees with a ton of things that, you know, the international bankers and, you know, the quote unquote elites of this society try to do. But that's a whole other topic for another day, right? So therefore, you know, the so-called black simp, he tends to just go with the flow, right? And those are the pro-black, you know, and the woke cats.
It's real quick. But to everybody who, especially the ones who look like me, and the men who look like me, who quick to, if Kamala want my vote, she need to explain herself. Stop asking a motherfucking black woman to explain themselves to you.
See, that's that bullshit. Because number one, she doesn't even identify with being so-called black. She'll tell you she's Indian and Jamaican. She doesn't identify with what you niggas call yourselves, which is American descendants of slavery. She's not that. But that's besides the point. Honestly, it's not even about questioning a so-called black woman or questioning a so-called white man. It's about questioning who's going to be the leader or the quote-unquote leader of this country anyway, and seeing who's best fit for the country. Right? So therefore, you have to ask both sides questions and get an understanding on both sides. But the simple fact that he's saying stop asking a motherfucking black woman motherfucking questions or stop questioning them, whatever the hell his ass said, that goes to show you that a ton of brothers, man, they just go with the flow. Whatever the so-called black woman says, they go with it. And that's not right. Bruh, imagine you going to your dad and you telling him, you know, how a girl did you wrong when you're a teenager. And you say, you know, you asked her, you know, how could she do this? And the first thing that comes out of his mouth is, stop asking a motherfucking black woman questions. Don't question a motherfucking black woman. You're going to be like, Pops, you a bitch. I mean, this shit crazy, man.
Or explain themselves to y'all. If y'all ain't willing to ask a motherfucking white man, y'all cool with the white man not explaining his motherfucking self to you.
But see, that's the thing. That's how you know this nigga is extremely uninformed. Even with the video prior to this one, when he was talking about, he understood that Tim Walz was the motherfucking right pick because his motherfucking eyebrows was white. Now he's saying stuff like, stop questioning the motherfucking black woman if you're not going to question the motherfucking white man. But people are asking questions to Donald Trump, and Donald Trump answers those questions. Donald Trump pulls up on the National Association of Black Journalists. J.D. Vance pulls up on CNN and answers questions. I mean, those people go into what you would call ops territory and they answer questions. You know, they're answering questions that aren't softball questions. They're hardball questions, right? Questions that the mainstream media do not ask Kamala Harris. They do not ask Tim Walz. Right? Kamala Harris barely even does. She doesn't even do interviews. So, I mean, it's crazy. People, if you go up to a Trump supporter and ask them to explain to you why they are voting for Donald Trump without mentioning Kamala Harris, they can do that. It's not the same on the other side. Right? They can tell you, you know, Donald Trump put up tariffs. Now China is paying the U.S. Donald Trump stabilized the economy. Donald Trump didn't have any wars under his watch when he was the president. Donald Trump actually had a business relationship with Vladimir Putin and the president of China and the president of North Korea. Their names are slipping my mind right now, but the point is they can rattle off reasons why they support Donald Trump. If you ask a Kamala Harris supporter why are they voting for Kamala Harris, the first thing they're going to do is say, because I dislike Donald Trump. And I mean, that's their prerogative, but it just goes to show you that most of those people are ill-informed. It is what it is.
Oh, the motherfucking black, she need to explain herself to me what she gonna do for the black community. You ain't motherfucking asking the white man to explain this motherfucking stuff. You too motherfucking scared to ask him. Well, she been in the office already 3.5 years. Why she ain't do all the things she said she was gonna do? Cause she ain't the motherfucking president. When you go to the motherfucking McDonald's, that lady that's the motherfucking manager, she don't get to do what the fuck she wanna do. She might can give you some motherfucking fries, but that's about it.
Well, no. Nice try, bro, but that's what you would call a false equivalency fallacy, which is basically when someone, that you're having a discussion with or a quote-unquote argument with, they try to draw a conclusion with what you are saying, and they compare it to something else that it may sound similar, but it isn't necessarily the same. Like comparing the president to, or the vice president to the general manager at McDonald's. I mean, their responsibilities are totally different. On top of that, Kamala Harris has stated out of her own mouth that she is the last individual with Joe Biden when he is making big time decisions, which means she has a heavy influence on his decision making. And honestly, with Joe Biden being so senile for the past 3.5 years, it's quite clear to me that she has some type of influence on what goes on in this economy and what goes on in this country. It just is what it is.
She can't change the price of that motherfucking quarter pound up there. Or that motherfucking Big Mike. That ain't that motherfucking lady White House.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk like that, technically it's not Joey B's White House either, bro. And even if Kamala was to win the selection, it wouldn't be her White House once she gets in there. But, she will put together some policies, and of course some things will be greenlit that she will be in favor of. But it's quite clear she's a communist and a Marxist, right? And that's where this country is headed. So she was just in charge of the border. She was literally the border czar. So you're saying that's not her White House, she's not the president. Well, she did have control over something, bro. She had control over the border, and what she did was allow a ton of illegal immigrants to come in, right? And they are taking over cities. They are taking over, quote unquote, black communities. So, you can sit here and say, stop questioning her, but no, there are people who need answers.
She just like the motherfucking man. You motherfucking fall in line. Now, if you can get some motherfucking free fries out every now and again, you get some motherfucking free fries out. But y'all motherfucking know this. Most of y'all. But y'all just want something to motherfucking say. Now, if she was the motherfucking president and didn't do something, then that's a whole different motherfucking ballgame. Y'all the same motherfucker when Barack was running. He wasn't motherfucking black enough for you neither.
Bruh. That's the thing with identity politics. People who are engaging in identity politics, when they come to you and they are passionate about what they're talking about, man, they sound so ignorant. And I honestly don't believe that Plies is passionate about this topic. He just got paid, right? But if I was Kamala Harris and I saw his quote unquote endorsement, I wouldn't accept that. Because he can't talk without saying motherfucker first and foremost. On top of that, all he's saying is don't question a black woman. I've heard Kamala Harris say out her mouth that she does have to earn a vote of so-called black men. She has said that. God damn. So the fact that he's speaking in total opposite of what she's saying, it's like, man, you're not even on the same page, but you so up the so-called black woman's ass that you honestly speaking from your own experience with, so-called black women who mean something to you in your life. You don't question them. You don't question your mama. Your mama say whatever she want to say to you, and you just let the shit ride. Because that's how you was raised. So Kamala can say whatever the hell she want to say. And a lot of so-called black men just let that shit ride. And that's the problem with a ton of brothers in this society. They allow women to say whatever they want to say to them. Right? Because they're so busy trying to get some coochie, that they basically put the woman on the pedestal. But in turn, that doesn't do anything but boost the woman's head. And in turn, all she is going to do is look at the man as a fan and begin to talk down to him eventually. And, just talk to him like, like he's not a significant figure in her life. Right? But that's a lot of you brothers' fault. And that's what Kamala Harris does when she is asked a question. She gives word salad. She talks like she cares about what the common so-called black person goes through. But she said out of her mouth that she's not going to do anything specific for the so-called black community. I mean, she said that out of her own mouth. Right? So the fact that people try to hang on the fact that she's a so-called black woman, which she's never said out of her mouth. Well, I think she has said it, but even still, she doesn't identify as a so-called black woman. But the fact that people try to hang their hat on that, it just goes to show that people, they're gullible. So-called black men, so-called black liberal men are extremely gullible. Whatever can be said to them, and honestly, their talking points are those of the so-called liberal white man. They just try to act like they hate the so-called liberal white man. But if you are voting for Kamala Harris, then in turn, you're voting for a so-called liberal white man in 10 walls. Right? So they can sit there and say, don't question the white man, don't question the white man. But either way it go, however you vote, you're voting for someone that's white. So, brothers, I mean, they're just utterly confused, man. At the end of the day, if you are going to vote, then what you should be voting for is what actually benefits you in your life, what benefits, your pockets, how you're going to be able to run your home, run your life financially. I mean, honestly, the most important votes are the local votes. But even still, if you believe what the presidents are saying they are going to deliver, then what you should be voting for as a man, especially if you have a family, is what's going to be better off to have you well off to take care of your family. Right? Not because someone is so-called black. I mean, come on, bro. And plus, so-called black people already did that shit with Barack Obama. And you see where it got them. Still in the same place. But anyway, brothers, that's all that real and R.A.R.A analysis. I don't really have too much else to say about Plies, man. This dude is too damn ignorant. But, you brothers be safe out there, man. Yo.
And a lot of y'all, I done figured out what y'all getting confused. Y'all don't even want motherfucking black. Y'all want ignorant. A lot of y'all think ignorant mean black.
You out your fucking mind.